What's the best way to actually remember information, especially long term? Well, obviously, a lot of people think about this because at least once a week, I get a notification for an article or a post on social media saying how to remember everything you read. Now, obviously, you can't remember everything you read, but there are some ways to retain information highly effectively and highly efficiently as well. So you don't necessarily need hours of study. There's a couple of techniques that truly work, and they've been studied for possibly 100 years in thousands of participants, and they genuinely have moderate to large effect sizes, which is very rare in psychology. Most effect sizes aren't large because human behavior is so complex. Now, the first one I'm going to mention is called the spacing effect. It can also be called distributed practice. So this is the idea that if you actually space out the material you're learning, it's easier to remember it and you can retain it for much longer. It's the opposite of mass practice. So mass practice just means you're like cramming. So you're trying to cram everything the night before, and that just doesn't work as well. It can help a little bit if you're in a rush, but generally spacing things out works much better. Now, this has even been tested in the classroom in messy real-world settings, and it still works. It still produces an effect. How do you actually use space practice? Well, the best way to probably use it is to have longer spaces between sessions. So there's a few reasons this works, which we'll get to in a second. So short spacing still works and is still effective. But if you really want to remember something long term, you're better off using longer spacing or spacing things out more, 24 hours or possibly even more. Now, what areas does spacing actually work for? Well, spacing has been tested in many areas. For instance, second language learning, it works there. It works for factual learning. Even for mathematical learning, it works. Now, the effect size is smaller here, but it still works for mathematical learning. So it basically works for everything, especially written material or factual knowledge. It's highly effective there, and skill learning. So obviously, if anyone's ever learned to drive or learned to ski or something difficult, again, you get better over multiple sessions. You're not good in your first session. It's hard to improve in the first day. Obviously, some of this has to do with actual consolidation of the memories as well. So you have to sleep for the memory to actually get etched into your brain. It's not something that just happens straight away. It's not an instant process. So it happens over time, because obviously a memory is a physical pattern and network in your brain. So this obviously has to happen over multiple sessions. It can't happen in one go. Also, when you space out remembering information, it actually sets a slower decay rate on the memory. So for instance, if you had a childhood phone number, the chances are you still remember it. Or if you don't, if someone prompted you, if someone gave you a couple of digits, it would probably come back to you. That's because if you use things repeatedly over time and you space it out, your brain obviously prioritizes it and it's retained for much, much longer.